Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to start part 2 on the Chris Watts and his family's murders. One wants to try and understand what happened to lead to 4 murders. After analyzing the videos, articles, and documents, there are 3 things about Chris that would lead me to theorize these inhumane acts. Again, this is my theory after reviewing my research thus far in the case. This case is still so fairly new, and I am 100% sure that there will be more information to come out in the case. Chris Watts did, let's just do a brief synopsis of what we already know. Chris Watts pled guilty to killing his pregnant wife and murder of his 2 children. But he also said, after being led by the polygraph FBI, that Shanann killed the 2 little girls and that he killed her because she killed the 2 little girls. But he ended up pleading guilty to all of them for not getting the death sentence. So I just wanted to kind of make sure that that was clear on what I was trying to state. Chris has currently retracted a statement in regards to killing his 2 children, still saying that his wife is the one that killed them, which I absolutely do not believe to be true, and that is my opinion. And he did do the confession on Wednesday, August 15th, after he miserably failed the lie detector test, the failed polygraph, and then the FBI that's in there with him absolutely coerce him into this plan. I don't think he ever had it in him to say that his wife had done this. So we're just going to go ahead and play this so you guys can hear.
That's because you cared. That's why caring dad does.
I mean, I've always cared for these kids. There's nothing in this in my life.
I believe that. I believe that, and I believe someone made a mistake, whether it was you or Shanann. And you either cleaned up after Shanann or you made the mistake. And I mean, I want to believe that maybe Shanann did it and you felt compelled to fix this so Shanann didn't look bad. That's what I want to believe.
Completely gave the idea to him.
But I don't know.
It led to confession.
So makes me think the worst. Like, did you?
I did not do anything.
All 3 of them?
I did not do anything to these kids. Not anything.
What did Shanann do to them? Tell us, Chris. Chicks are crazy.
Can I talk to my dad or something?
There we go. That's where you got the idea from.
No, I just need to talk to my dad. Like.
So again, this is my theory, and I have 3 ideas that I'm going to run by you guys that could lead me to think that somebody could do something so inhumane. And of course, there is the mental illness, with being possibly a psychopath, narcissist, carrying those characteristics. The other mental illness is possibly Asperger's. Definitely not autistic. He's too high functioning. But Mr. Watts' personality would definitely indicate a little bit of a red flag of possibly having Asperger's. He could have, he carries some of the Asperger traits is what I'm trying to say. I'm not a doctor, so this is just my theory. I have worked with autistic children and high functioning Asperger's children with the school district. And this is what led me to maybe have this as a possibility for him, just for the lack of emotion that he shows, and he's still able to function in society. And last, possession. I mean, it has to come across someone's mind. Who can do this, right? There's no evidence or statements made by Mr. Watts to indicate this. This is just my own opinion on trying to break this very, very difficult case down. I feel like it is done both families injustice by him getting to just do this plea guilty and not have a trial and not be able to see if this was premeditated, see if there's others involved. It's just honestly unfair. And I think that's maybe why there's so many people on YouTube passionate about trying to figure the puzzle pieces out. It's just infuriating. So, hold on here. Let's do this. All right, and I'm just going to go over the Asperger traits. They're quiet, shy, they lack empathy, emotionally disconnected with people, they learn how to mimic normal human interactions, they play their part in life. They're loners, intelligent, very awkwardly socially. They're not very talkative, easily emasculated by women because of their extreme fear of confrontation. They will avoid it at all costs and have been known to be very reckless just to avoid it. They also have obsessions, usually hobbies. Their obsessions take over their life and mind. Now, let's listen to Chris Watts being described by his friends or family. It is a lifetime of consistency without one single red flag of being a psycho or sociopath. Chris has some of those traits because they all kind of overlap, but someone who is a psycho or sociopath would have shown more red flags, at least a little bit, over the course of a lifetime, right? But there's no dark side ever displayed in Chris that we've seen yet. It's still a fairly new case, like I've said. He fits AS perfectly in my eyes so far. That's my theory. Let's see. If like you would mute some of his videos that he is seen in, Chris is not comfortable with the cameras and he's honestly a little awkward in front of them. And then a coworker had said Chris offered him one of his children, and he found that very odd, which most people would. That's the social awkwardness displayed. People with AS don't know how to conversate, but they try, and it comes out as odd, usually like jokes. Chris's obsession was his mistress, NK, Nicole Kessinger, and it took over his life. If it's not crazy to think, instead of confronting Shanann, who dominated Chris in every way, about NK or divorce, he chose to just get rid of his family and start a new one with NK. She was pushing him big time, and that's my opinion, for marriage, etc. Chris was emotionally attached to his family. Chris was not emotionally attached to his family, and his obsession with NK pushed him to a reckless decision, and that's my honest opinion. It's that emotional disconnect that allowed him to put his kids where he did. So, I mean, I don't know. And we'll talk more about NK because I just feel like she just got off scot-free. But maybe here in the future, once she gets another boyfriend and starts to move on with her life, maybe Mr. Watts will be ready to expose her a little bit. But as of now, his lips are sealed on her. And it's not fair to this family. And a couple of Google searches that were done by Mr. Watts that would indicate a Asperger's traits in some way would be how to know what it feels like to love someone. Most people know what it feels like to feel that. People with Asperger's or even people that are autistic, they don't make those kind of connections. They have a hard time like talking to you in the reality of now and telling you a story per se of something they did last night. That's more on the autistic spectrum, but I'm not here to talk about that. Something else that he Googled is bizarre and kind of goes along with an Asperger's traits was, when is it appropriate to tell someone you love them? I mean, it's just strange to me, honestly. My next thing is this premeditated? Were there more involved? I mean, sometimes I'm like, it had to be premeditated. I'm like, the timelines don't fit. But I'm going to do a little bit more research on that before I automatically go to that theory and assume that and state that, because I don't know. But everything seems to kind of run so smooth. I don't know. More involved? Oh, you betcha. I have no doubt about that. And we can get into that, and I can give you guys my theory as well on that. I don't know about the time frames and things, and those are things that I'm going to look into so we can go for a part 3. I've got to keep this under 15 minutes, and not that it's necessarily important, but he did have a few other affairs. There was Trent Bolt on the Meet Me app. And there is actually video footage of Mr. Watt's supposed screen information and half of a picture of him, but you could kind of tell it's him. And the information that's described about him, it looks just like him and it sounds just like him. So that's quite interesting. And then there's Amanda McCann, Tinder app, and she has text messages from him. Same with Trent Bolt. They both have text messages from him. So I definitely think that maybe he had a sex addiction, and there could have been more, and those are the only other ones that have come out and said anything. But I'm going to leave it with whenever I was talking about the Asperger's traits, because I am not a doctor, and I don't want anybody saying, you're not a doctor, you're not allowed to give out, mental illness things about people. Well, okay. This is the thing, as I said again, it's my theory. But while in prison, hopefully he will be evaluated by more than one doctor, and we can eventually hear if this is a mental illness Mr. Watts does have. Or if he is a psycho or a sociopath or a narcissist, which he kind of already is. I don't know. I mean, anyways. So I'm going to leave you guys at that. Give it a like, subscribe, and I will be back with part 3. Okay?